Okay, so this is going to be, unless I think of anything else, the final video for working on the shoulder part of this meridian system, because again, it is a system. Um, and so I'm just trying to activate awareness of both sides of the system. So we're focusing on, this side here in the back first and along the neck, and then we're going to get more into your fingers. Now, of course, you can do any of these stretches on their own in isolation. Um, so it's just all informative. It's not a practice. I think as any of us are trying to bring like our fascia and muscles into proper alignment in the body, if we're doing like a whole yoga practice, we're probably gonna have some areas that are not as they should be, and so we need to just do some problem area stretchers in conjunction with a full practice. At least that has always been my experience of things. So these are really in the service of that. Um, okay, so I was talking about in the last video when we went like this, but then we looked through the shoulder into the center of our armpit. There is a pressure point in the center of your armpit. And if you just raise your hand up and feel around, and it's going to be, I mean, if this is our armpit, right, it's really going to be up and towards the front side of your armpit. That is actually the point of insertion that you have for this side chest muscle here. I believe it's called your medial pec muscle, but it's been a while since I've had alignment classes. You can press on that, and it's going to be quite tender for a lot of people. And again, I think I was talking earlier about this line of energy in your index finger. That is very much connected to tightness here. So if you feel around, and you might just want to massage that area out, you can kind of trace it. It might kind of come along, it might come down as well, but most people are going to feel the biggest amount of tension right there. So that's going to be an important area to think about in this next stretch. And honestly, even just raising your hand up and like pressing that can provide a lot of relief for people who are feeling particularly tight there. Um, and I'm certainly experiencing a little more tension right now on my left side. When I did my yoga teacher training, I guess about 7 years ago now, we were doing a lot of chaturanga to chaturanga dandasanas, and if we had a lot of tension in there from that for sure, because it wasn't like we're doing them as part of a practice. We were like literally just doing them over and over and over and over again. So this was the counter stretch to all of that. So really, any things where you're kind of, you're using a lot of hand and wrist and arm strength to support your body weight. We do that a lot in chaturanga and chaturanga dandasana. Poses like crow or any other like arm and wrist balancing pose. This is a really good counter stretch. So I'm hoping that I have enough floor space here. Yeah, I think so. Okay. These videos, of course, courtesy of La Casa de Stacy. So we're going to start just lying down. And let me adjust this camera here. So you have your pectoris majoris, I believe, is the Latin, and then your pectoris medial pectoris, which is the side muscle of your chest. One is going to stretch one of these, and one is going to stretch the other. I feel fairly confident that the second one that I'm going to show you is the important one. But I was shown these in conjunction with another, and I think it makes sense because they're basically the same stretch with just one tweak. So we're going to start stretching the right side. So we're just going to have our arm out at 90 degrees. And, I would say not necessarily pressing your index finger into the floor, but just being conscious of the weight that gravity creates in it as it acts upon your arm, your thumb as well, and then your pinky. So again, we're kind of coming back to this same system here, right? We have the index, thumb, and pinky. Not that these fingers aren't important too, but these are certainly our strongest least for me. At any rate, that's how I think about it. It doesn't need an explanation. You can think about it that way or not. So it's entirely out flat. Now what I'm going to do, and just to start, let's just place our left hand right in that pressure point that we were feeling, okay? So you can even massage it there again if you want, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate my body onto my right side. So you can start by just having your left hand flat, and what's going to happen is you can see my leg here. It's going to come over, and I can show you this from a different angle at the end. I'm sort of moving my neck in the way that is not the best for this pose, but so I can talk to you. You're going to want to have your right ear on the mat. So, and again, this is really kind of getting from like your rib cage, shoulder blade, and then, you know, that's sort of, and then the armpit as well. That's really where you're probably going to be feeling that stretch. I like to have my hand going straight up. So that means my left palm is square with the sidewall. And then, you know, I'm not doing this. I want it going straight up. So that's going to stretch part of that system. But the stretch that's really going to get into that, and I suspect this is what you're going to find a lot more benefit from, is it's the exact same thing, except once you've placed your arm out at 90 degrees, we're going to bend at the elbow 90 degrees. So you can see here, now I'm like this instead of like this, right? That's the only difference that we're making. And so, again, just to start, if you want, as you rotate over, you can kind of hold that area. And honestly, that can be very intense to start, and that might be as far as you want to go. The full expression is this. When you lift your arm up, it's basically acting as a fulcrum, and so you're getting more torque into that pose. Let's see if we can just, if I can show it from this other side here. So, well, I guess since I switched sides, I'm going to do it with my left one, because that's what is camera facing. So we're going to come like this, right? Of course, my head is facing this way. Then we're rotating. That might be enough. Or you can come up for the full expression. It really can be a very intense pose. So, have a sense of humor about it. Breathe deeply. You know, if you're starting to tense any muscles in your face, then it's probably a good place to back off. But that's probably better after you've had some degree of warm-up. Like, that's honestly, if you've done a practice where you have some degree of flow sequence in it, or, you know, if after a hike, you just want to have some heat build up in the body, because that just makes your muscles more malleable and more ready to accept these stretches. So, and again, as we have that grounded hand, really be conscious of the pinky on the side that we're bending into. So, you know, it'll be that side, or this will be my left side. Not that you can see my arms here, but that's basically what we're thinking about. So if for whatever reason you have some tension, like in your in any of your side body when you're doing this stretch, as we're bringing the leg over, you can simply just stack the legs on top of one another, and that will certainly have some degree of the same effect, but it's a much more, much deeper stretch, as if we kind of kick the opposite leg over of the arm that we're stretching. That also creates a nice diagonal line in the body. So, okay, that's it for the upper side of this meridian.